Hello students, I hope you are doing well, studying properly and learning all your concepts. Making things simple. Gerald Durrell was a vet by profession who wrote interesting anecdotes about his encounters with animals. In the given extract, he narrates an incident from the practical training he underwent at the Whipsnade Zoological Society. For a happy 2 or 3 months, I also had a tiny section of my own, which consisted of half a dozen of huskies and 2 pairs of Arctic foxes. One day I noticed that one of my foxes had developed a boil at the base of his tail. Phil procured for me some ointment which I had to apply on the boil every day. This was a tedious procure, and one day that fox, being highly nervous, did not enjoy a bit, for it meant that it had to be caught. I did the catching in something a large butterfly net. It had a heavy metal rim padded rather ineffectively with sacking, and the bag was made of coarse fishing net. The actual catching process was fairly easy, owing to the fox's set pattern of behavior. As soon as he was rousted out of his den, he would start to run round and round the outer perimeter of the cage at a steady canter. All that was needed was to place the net suddenly just in front of him, and he would run straight into it. One had to be careful, however, for the metal rim, all the padded, could be dangerous. On the 4th day, I was just edging the net into position when Billy rode up behind me on a bicycle and suddenly shouted, "Yoo-hoo!" in a falsetto surge. In my surprise, I raised the net a fatal 2 inches so that the fox was caught across his forelegs by the metal rim. There was a noise like a rotten twig breaking as the fox's foreleg swapped neatly, halfway between elbow and paws. "You idiot," I said to Billy. "Look what you've made me do." "I'm sorry," I yelled, said Billy contritely, staring at the fox. "I didn't see what you were doing." "It's Phil's day off too," I said. "So what am I supposed to do? I can't leave it like that." "Take it to Daddy and he'll set it," said Bill promptly. I suddenly remembered that Captain was qualified veterinarian surgeon, and this seemed an intelligent advice. On examination, I found that the break was a clean one. It should be easy to set and stood a good chance of healing successfully. When we got the administration block, we found that the captain had retired to his house for a bath. Both Mr. Beale and Billy said that the length of time the captain spent in the bath was considerable, and because the need was urgent, he ought to be disturbed. Billy went and battered on the bathroom door. "Go away," roared the captain, making noises like 14 frightened hippos trying to extricate themselves from a garden pond. "Go away, I am bathing." "Hurry up," shouted Billy. "We've got a fox with a broken leg." "No peace," groaned the captain. "There's no peace in this place." "All right, put it in the office. I'll be there." Soon rose from his bath, the captain bumbled into the office, followed by Mrs. Beale carrying a huge tin. "Ah, Durrell, it's you, eh?" he grumbled. "A fox, eh? Let's have a look." The fox, who had more or less accepted his fate, was lying quietly in my arms, and was so alarmed at Captain Beale's size, proximity, and rich voice that it opened its mouth in a sword. The captain stepped back hurriedly. "Hold it!" he barked at me. "Get a good grip on its neck." "I have, Captain," I pointed out. Short of decapitating the animal, I could not have held it more firmly. I slid my hand gently under the broken leg and lifted it slightly so that the captain could see the extent of damage. "Hey," he said, peering through. "Hey." His spectacles. "Nice clean break. That's something. Now to work. Billy, tell Laura we want her." "She's doing her homework," said Mrs. Beale. Can't we manage, dear? No, said the captain decisively, taking the tin from his hand. This is a plaster bandage. I need everybody's help. I gazed at the small creature in my arms, wondered what the captain's reaction would have been if it had been, for instance, a giraffe. Billy returned with his sister. "Now, dear," said the captain oratically, sticking a thumb under his braces. "This plaster bandage is a new stuff, you see." He slapped the tin with his hand and a pale cloud of plaster puffed out and spread over his desk. "In the old days you had to splint bandage and then much about with plaster of Paris. Messy, took a long time." I knew that it was time consuming, messy, and in a lot of ways unsuccessful, for I had used this method on more than one occasion for birds with broken wings and legs. Now the captain was going to show me a modern method of splinting that would be quick, non-messy, and foolproof. I was genuinely interested. This, after all, was what I had come to Whipsnake for, the acquisition of knowledge. The captain lifted the tin and peered at it, shifting his glasses down to the end of the nose. "Rum, rum, unbumble," he murmured, reading to himself. "Yeah, that's clear. Lukewarm water, Gladys. And now you, Billy, cut the hair off the leg." "Why?" asked Billy rather stupidly. "Because the plaster won't stick on hair," said the captain, exasperated by such a question. "Don't shout, William. You're frightening the fox," said Mrs. Beale anxiously. "If you're all going to argue, can I go back and finish my homework?" inquired Laura complainingly. Having thus deployed his forces, the captain took the lid off the tin and rather uneasily rolled a yard. He took out a yard of the bandage, or two of the bandage, heavily laden with plaster of Paris. He paced to and fro as he examined with interest. Most of the plaster of Paris fell on the floor, making the office look as though it was suffering a light snowfall. Then, when Mrs. Beale reappeared with a saucepan full of warm water, the captain got everybody at action stations. "Billy, Laura, Gladys, get hold of this bandage," he shouted. In a cloud of plaster, he unravelled some 16 feet of bandage and handed it to his family. "Hold it out straight, Gladys. You're dropping. That's right. You ready, Darrell? Don't want it breaking loose at the crucial moment." "I've got it tight, sir." "Good," said the captain, and seizing the saucepan, he made his way down the length of the bandage, slooping water on it. "Do you see how it works, Darrell?" he said. "The damage acts as a splint." He wound several inches of it round his forefinger to demonstrate. "None of the old-fashioned mess, do you see?" he said, wagging his finger at me. It was at this moment that things started to become confused. Perhaps the captain has misread the instructions, for the bandage round his finger now solidified with astonishing rapidity. So too did the length of the bandage held by Mrs. Beale, Laura, Billy, linking them together with a daisy chain. "Where are the scissors? Who's taken the scissors?" the captain bellowed in alarm. Billy, in an effort to find the scissors, now knocked the tin to the floor and it rolled across the office, shedding the bandage and plaster of Paris in equal quantities. The place was becoming to look like an advanced casualty station in one of the fiercer Napoleonic battles. "Useless," roared the captain. "Absolutely useless. The whole lot of you. You're supposed to help," said the captain. At length, the scissors were found and the captain cut them all loose, getting a great quantity of plaster smeared on his spectacles in the process. Then, while Laura and Billy unravelled some more bandage, Laura और Billy ने क्या किया? They took out more bandage. Mrs. Beale moistened it, and the captain, his face still puce-coloured, his breathing hard, wound it round the fox's leg. At last, he stood back. That should do. It was not the most professional piece of splinting I had ever seen, but the captain stood there beaming, his glasses covered with a wide rim of plaster, his bald head as white as though it was powdered, and a long strip of bandage wound inextricably round his slipper. "There you are, Durrell," he rumbled in a self-satisfied way. "These modern things make all the difference to the job. Simply things, do you see? Simplify things." So hence, the wound was round around the fox's leg. Word meanings. Huskies, animals like dogs, procure to obtain difficulty, tedious, wearisome, perimeter, external boundary, straight without bend, although though, snapped to break with a sharp noise, veterinary, one who treats animals successfully in a successful way, administration, management and public affairs, considerable, notable, lumber, to move clumsily, proximity, nearness, splint, a strip of wood for holding broken bone when set. The author had a tiny section of half a dozen pair of huskies. Fill in the blanks. I did catching in something dash, something fox, a large butterfly net, metallic. They still do in the same manner. How did the author did the catching of the Arctic fox? Explain. He did it in a butterfly net. Write a letter to your friend telling him about your first experience with your new pet dog. So you need to write a letter to your friend talking about a new pet dog. Grammatical skills. Pick out and write the conjunctions from the following. Think before you speak. What is the conjunction? It is before. Write the synonyms. Lucky, what will be the synonym for lucky? Blessing. Rewrite the following sentences after changing the underlined word into the suitable adverb. Sudhir solves the sums with accurate calculation. क्या हो जाएगा? Sudhir solves the sum accurately. Similarly, you'll do the rest. Activity skills. Animals are our friends. They maintain the balance in nature. We should conserve them. But how? Discuss with your partner. You need to discuss how one should conserve animals. I hope you understood this chapter properly. Read it again and revise all the questions to understand it even better.